Hi everyone! Welcome to Lauren's Scrap Lot and my weekly edition of Show Me How It's Done. So today I have a couple things to share with you. I have a really fun project that I'm so excited about, but I also have a little announcement of a pre-release suite. So sometimes Stampin' Up! Has bundles from their annual catalog that they decide, hey, let's share this a little bit early. We'll release some paper alongside it and give everyone just a fun little sneak peek of what's coming up. So that is the case with this all together suite. Stampin' Up! Has released a stamp set, dies, paper, and so many new blends that give us a really fun taste of what is going to show up in the next catalog. So I do have to warn you, the paper from this suite is while supplies last. It won't be carrying over. However, the blends will and the Stampin' Dies will. So even if they go on back order, they'll still be available, and they'll be available for a whole year after that annual catalog gets released too. Okay, so don't be afraid about it. So what I wanted to share with you is some of the products that are in the suite. So I've got this just kind of for my reference, but yesterday in my Stampin' Up! Order, my items finally arrived. So let's start with the paper. I mentioned this guy is a while supplies last item. So if you want it, make sure to grab it and make sure to stock up on it. They are 6x6 sheets and they're so fun. They're all black and white so that you can add whatever shade and color you want to them. So some of them are just basic patterns and they'll be just really fun, and some of them have images that coordinate with the stamps. So I don't know about you, but I work with kids a lot usually, and so this is just a perfect idea, I think, for any classroom or workplace, you know, just really promoting diversity and the beauty of all of the, like, you know, I just see like kids' hands shooting up across the classroom and just coloring them in different shades, kind of like they've done in some of these images here. It's just such a powerful message that I think if you got your kids to focus on this for February or even March, it would just be a really uplifting message for them to have. So that is a really fun set of papers. There's 4 of each of the patterns, and then of course you can cut them down. You can use them, like for myself personally, I would probably make this into a small focal point, so cutting this into a 3x3 square so that I'd get 4 little images for my cards from each of those sheets, so I can really stretch my paper that way. Now let's go with the stamps and dies. So here's the Here Together stamp set. It's got a really cute, even like best friends pinky promise kind of thing. That little heart gesture that you do starting when you're a kid and then as you get older. And then the dies, they do coordinate somewhat. So here I'll have to flip a few ways. So this one would of course go with the pinky promise, and this one goes around your hearts. And then you've got, you can't read them, but this says You Matter and Here for You. So here's the You Matter. It cuts out in one chunk, which is really, really helpful. And then the Here for You would also do the same. I don't think there's a sample, but there is the visual here for you. Haha, that worked well. And those would be really nice to make for thinking of you cards, sympathy card even for this message, and then just encouragement. You know, we all need some uplifting encouragement here and there, so I really think that the You Matter message is so, so important for us to share. And then if you're noticing some of these dots, they actually just tied in the hexagon embossing or embellishments from the catalog. Okay, so you can use any embellishments you want, the pearls, the hexagon dies, the matte black dots. There isn't a set of embellishments for the set, but there is blends, and I'm so excited about this because up till now we've had bronze and ivory, right? So when you're coloring any of those beautiful skin tone sets that we got, the By the Sea images, everything, even little critters, right? You're kind of limited in what you can do. I don't know if I can order these. There we go. Okay, so now what we have is 5 broad range duos. So you've actually got 10 markers of all different shades. So if you're doing skin tones, you'd probably pick one, maybe two for a shadow effect together. If you're doing little critters, you've got all sorts of shades for those puppy ears and little kitty bellies and all that. And these can be purchased separately, so $12.25, our regular price for our blends, or you can buy the whole collection right now for $61.25, and then I think you're getting a 10% discount on that. I think. I have to do the math on that. $12.25 times 5. Where's my phone? I didn't actually check this one. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Either way, it's still a great deal. Oh no, so sorry. No discount, but just one easy item number. That's okay. It's still really great. So if you're looking to expand your blends collection, this would be the great bundle to grab. If you want to make some really great encouragement, diversity, sympathy even cards, or promote some of those messages amongst staff members and students, then this is a really great bundle to start with. It has a beautiful message. So like I said, I just got those in, so I haven't had time to play with them, but we will later this month, okay? I promise I'll have a card for you later this month. But what I'm showing you today is them adorable bumblebees. They're so fun. Okay, so you're gonna think I'm crazy, but sometimes I get inspiration in the most random of places. So this is the alphabet chart that I have up on our wall for my kids to, learn their ABCs with. And it fell down the other day, of course, for the 20th time, because, sticky tack is great. But as I was picking it up, I was like, oh, that bumblebee's really cute. And I had just gotten in this Ladybug stamp and punch. And I started thinking and seeing other people making bees. So I figured, hey, I can make a card that looks exactly like this, almost, and use my Stampin' Up products. So this was my inspiration for the card. And I tried to match the colors as much as possible in order to make this adorable little greeting card. So of course you can use any sentiments you want for it, but let me show you how I made that. Okay, so if you want to follow along, you're going to need to get a few things ready, and then I will walk you through how to assemble. So we need a base, and I like this balmy blue color. It's just so gorgeous. So I've made a base that is 4 1/4 by 11, and we're scoring at 5 1/2 down the middle. So the card actually kind of opens up this way, just because I want it to be fun. And then I need something to write on the inside of my card. So I cut myself a piece of Very Vanilla. This one measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. And that, oh, pardon me, that one will go on the inside of our card. And for the outside of my card, I actually used the exact same color, so that balmy blue again, but I embossed it this time. So we are cutting it at 4 by 5 1/4, and then you're going to use our new Hive 3D embossing folder that you can find in the spring mini catalog. It's not with the Ladybug set, because the Ladybug was intended to be a ladybug, and then we all decide, hey, let's make bumblebees too. So this Hive set is it's in there, and if you need help finding it, let me know. I can certainly look it up for you, but it's great. It looks really fun and subtle. So I embossed my entire sheet of paper here. Okay, now here's where you're going to need to do a little bit of die cutting. Okay, so we need some hexagon shapes here. So I am using 2 different colors. I'm using Bumblebee and Cinnamon Cider and Bumblebee once again. So where did I get these awesome shapes, you ask? That would be on page 50. There is this really eclectic, kind of funky bundle that has a gorgeous stamp set and then these shapes. So these Hello Beautiful shapes right down here. Okay, so page 50. Let's check them out in real life here. Okay, So you actually don't need to buy the sets together if you're somebody who's like, well, I really only love the stamp or I really only love the shapes. You don't have to bundle them. If you do, you get that 10% discount though, so remember that. But here are my dies. So I'm not using the largest of the hexagons. I'm going to use the second largest, and that's going to be these background Bumblebee hexagons that you see, all of those. So you'll need to cut probably about 8, but I would even cut a couple more just in case you decide to do something differently. And then the third largest hexagon, or second smallest, whichever way you want to go, that is going to cut out some cinnamon cider hexagons and some more bumblebee ones. Okay, so cinnamon cider, cut out 3 or 4, and bumblebee, cut out 3 or 4 as well. And then that way you can kind of mix and match them however you'd like. So those are the 2 dies that I've used. I don't actually need to keep them out, so I'm going to store them back in my case so I don't lose them, and I can use them for something else. So from the magic of time lapse, look, mine are all cut out. Okay, so here's where the fun begins. I want to have everything prepped and ready to go, so I don't have to do anything with my large hexagons because they're just going to be placed in the background on my card. However, my small hexagons, do you see they kind of have a little bit of shading on them so that it makes a shadowy look? So how I did that was I've done some of them already, and you can hopefully see the difference between done and not done. I'm going to grab a sponge dauber and my 2 matching colors of inks, and we're going to just go around the edges. So sorry, I think those are right here. There we go. There's my pile. Okay, let's start with cinnamon cider. So I matched the color of ink to the color of paper, grabbing one of my little finger ink daubers and just brushing gently, gently along the outside edge here. Okay, so hopefully you can see that change a little bit. Maybe I'll hold it. Will you focus? There you go. So you can maybe see the differences between the 2 halves. One has the coloring, the other doesn't. And then as you go, start light, you know, with a small amount, and then you can always add more if you want more shading in there later on. That's okay too. Okay, so I'm not going to do all of them, but that's how the cinnamon cider would look. And then let's move on, and I'll show you one of the bumblebee ones. Okay, so same idea, but use a different ink dauber. You don't want to mix colors. If you wash these right away, you can get rid of all of that, most of the color. You might dye the foam a little, but it won't transfer. So if you want to reuse these, go ahead. But they are really cheap, so I just have a whole stash. You know, I keep ones that I know I'm going to use all the time, like my browns and my navy and stuff like that. And then the yellows I do kind of wash out, and then I can mix and match whichever yellow I'm using. Same with my, you know, generic greens, oranges, purples. But I just have a bunch on hand. Okay, so these are beautiful. Now what we're going to do is we're going to layer our small ones on top of the large ones. Then we will put them on the card, okay? And notice I haven't attached any of my card pieces together because we need to do some trimming along the sides here, okay? But let's get this done first. So the easiest thing for you to do is just grab some sort of flat adhesive. I probably should have maybe had some of these done for you ahead of time, but that's okay. So flat adhesive of your choice, and go ahead and layer up a bunch. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Don't put the adhesive on the side you colored. Good thing I have extras. Don't do that. Put it on the back. There we go. So they go right in the middle, and I really like doing this first because then you have them ready to go. They're easy to work with, and you can really kind of just go quickly after this for what you're doing. So another great adhesive would be glue, but you'll have to let these shapes dry before you play with them if you do that. And all of these are going on flat. Okay, so I'm actually only going to do 3 because with my design, that's all I used. You could put these up on dimensionals if you want, but it will create a little bit of challenge when you're adding your bumblebees because we're already going to put the base layer on dimensionals. Okay, so I'll do 3 of these as well. Have them ready to go. But they're just so fun to look at, and hexagons are so easy because they will line up pretty much no matter what you do. So it'll make your life a little less challenging than some of our other shapes out there. Okay. Nice and centered. Almost done. And 2. There we go. Okay. So now the fun begins because you're going to have to figure out where you want these on your blue piece of paper. So you don't have to copy my pattern. I just kind of went off what I was seeing on that poster and I liked how it looked. So that's what I went with. But I would suggest before you put any dimensionals or anything on, have this piece, this hexagon piece in front of you and just kind of lay these out where you think you might want them to go. Okay, so of course we want that hexagon beautiful pattern. We're just going to play with this here like so. And maybe put this guy on the side, you know, maybe move that over. I liked this open hexagon here. There we go. Here's a nice full one. One down here. Okay, so this was my design. I did just the alternating on the top. Then once I've got that, I kind of added in some pieces. I do have a little hexagon down here, and we will do that later. So that's where an extra one's coming in. But let's worry about attaching these first. Then we'll do this piece for you, okay? So now that you're happy, you can grab some dimensionals and start assembling, okay? So it doesn't really matter where you start. I like to just kind of pick one side, and the easiest thing to do is to put dimensionals right on your piece of paper because then you're not gonna have any hanging over. You're not gonna have to worry about those falling off. You know they're in the right place. Okay, and then you just put him right back almost where he was and move on to the next one. Okay, so then in that amount of space that this hexagon would sit, you're going to put more dimensionals. And you do want a few more dimensionals than usual because this paper is so bumpy. So you want to make sure you're really getting that covered and connected. You don't want any mistakes or, you know, pieces falling off here or there. That would make us sad. Okay. It's a little tedious, but it's very worth it when you see the result. Just go one block at a time, then you won't have any mistakes. Okay. This guy, this one is all going on the paper, so I am gonna just put the dimensionals straight on top of it because I know that all parts of it are going to be on the blue. Okay, put him at a nice little angle. And this guy, put here, 1, 2, 3. And the last one, if you wanted to fill in more space, go ahead and use another piece of your hexagons, or you can even wait until you've cut off kind of half of this one. It would probably fit right in that space for you too. So sometimes you can reuse some of these sections and you don't have to cut and prep a ton more. Okay, so you have all of these pieces now assembled, but I wanted a little bit of a sentiment. However, if I was to add another large piece in here, I just kind of thought it looked really full. It was kind of closing this area off while leaving this open, so I would have had to add more there. So what I did was, instead of using a large hexagon, took one of my little ones, and I'm actually just going to leave myself the teeniest of blue borders between my spaces. Okay, so we're going to stamp. I thought the stamps from the Ladybug were cute, but there was nothing that really shouted like Bumblebee and stuff. So instead of choosing, there we go, instead of choosing like hello or it's a good day or even my friend, I went with one of our celebration sets, which I really love. So this is a freebie. When you spend $120, you can get that last month and you can get it this month still. So I chose just a little Hive from me because I thought that was just simple and really fun. But from the Ladybugs, we are going to use these little dots and just add a bit of an accent to that, okay? So I've got my trusty Memento black ink, and we can tell that only half of my hexagon is going to be visible on this card. So I want this sentiment in that top half, okay? I don't want it low. I don't even want it in the middle. I want it near the top, as close as it can go, and then adding these little dots just for fun. You could add an embellishment like a matte black dot or something too if you wanted, but this one is fun to me. And I'm going to just put some adhesives, some dimensionals, sorry, on the back and get that in place. This one won't touch either of the shapes on the sides. It will instead leave teeniest of blue borders in that space. Okay, could even move this up just a hair. There we go. Okay, so now this is not a very pretty card to put on our card front. We have to trim off these pieces, okay? So with a pair of trusty scissors, you're just going to come alongside, and I like to just kind of use this blue page on the side as a resting place for my scissors. It will help me keep my lines straight. If you're worried, go ahead and grab a trimmer. You might have to still do one side manually in order to get everything lined up, but you should be able to do some of the rest with the trimmer. And you can see some of these big pieces are falling off. So if you wanted later, you can always go back and add those to that empty space I was talking about if you didn't like all the blue. But I also thought this empty space, or even this one, would be really fun if you made this like a kid's birthday card and popped like the number 1 or 2 or however old they were instead of 2 bumblebees. You could put a number in there using some of our dies. So that's a little alternative for that space for you. Okay, so there's my fun little hive. It does get a little wonky. So what we're going to do is, instead of putting this part up on dimensionals like I sometimes do, we're going to make sure to cover the entire back perimeter with an adhesive. So I do suggest tape because it's a little hard to run your seal roller with all these layers on the back. And it also is a little sturdier on the embossed images, okay, because it kind of gets right into those spaces. So taking off your tape, make sure to do the whole perimeter for this card. I know I usually don't, and it's not necessary, but for this guy it is. You really want that to stick down on the front of your card. Okay, so make sure you're opening the correct way, whichever way you want. Put your little blue piece on here. And what you're left with is a great buffer all the way around of the blue, but it's not textured, so it looks different and it really stands out. Okay, now on the inside of my card, I can go ahead and put my very vanilla piece. This would be a great piece to stamp like a little flower or something onto if you're interested. But for now, I'm just going to make this plain old vanilla so that I have something to write on. Okay, so now the next important part is our bumblebees. So as I mentioned, those came from the Hello Ladybug Bundle. Beyond the little dots, we're not going to use the stamp set today. We are at my monthly club next week, so if you're attending that or if you'd like to, let me know. I have some extra kits. They are $15 each or free with a $35 order, and you can order anything you want. So this is the punch. It's so fun. So what I have done is, with my punch, I have cut myself out a black ladybug body out of basic black and 2 wings out of vellum. That is per bumblebee. Okay, so I have already made 1 bumblebee, so you don't need to watch me make 2 of them, but you'll need 2 of these and 4 of these. Okay, and then for the bumblebee stripes, that's not included in the punch. We're going to just grab some strips of bumblebee paper. And what I did was I had like a large piece, something like 4 by 5.5, and I put an adhesive sheet on the back of it. So I basically turned these strips into stickers, and then I chopped them up so that they are about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch wide. It doesn't matter, but I wanted them just thin enough so that I could fit about 3 stripes on my bumblebee. You can make them fat or skinny, whatever you want. So because this is a sticker now, all I need to do is put it across his body, and I'll trim this after. Okay, so I've got 1, do the rest of it, 2, and 3. 3 little strips for my bumblebee. Okay, so he kind of looks funny right now, and that's all right. We're gonna flip him over and just do a little trimming on the back. If you really wanted to, you could try fishing him through your punch again, but I think that's gonna be more headache than it's worth, especially since some of the adhesive on your sheets now would probably get in your punch and be rather gummy. So that's not nice at all. Okay, so there's my little bumblebee's body. So next I need to add some wings. So what you can do is just take a little piece of your double-sided tape and cut it in half so that it's a skinnier sheet. You can also use a glue dot, but I actually found I could see the glue dot a little clearer for this card, so I didn't want that. So I'm just going to put 2 little strips across my bee on his wings. So the first one, you can kind of see he's got like his cute little neckline. This bend in the wings will fit perfectly right on the bottom of that head. You'll notice it as soon as you put it down. You're like, hey, that's gorgeous. I love it. Now for our next set of wings, I want them lifted the teeniest little bit. So you can either do this with your bone folder or a pair of scissors, just the edges, and you're just going to kind of bend those wings up, okay? So that when they sit on the table, they'll actually come off the table. You can't see it, sorry. But you can see this bumblebee. Look, his wings are separated, okay? So put that right on top of where you put the other bumblebee head or wing toppers. And you can even use your nails to kind of bring it up further. So You can see the difference between my wing layers. It's not necessary, but it's super cute. Okay, so now we're going to put our bumblebees on here. You can put dimensionals all over this one because he is going in this wide open space. Ooh, if they'll come apart, there we go. 2 and 3. And then on your second bumblebee, because this one can take up whatever space he wants, you're only going to put dimensionals in this little area because you don't actually want dimensionals on top here. Otherwise, he'll kind of be a tilted little bee and that looks awkward. So just put some on his bum is really all you need. So I'm just going to put 2 down here. The only thing the punch doesn't give you is a little stinger. So of course, if you really wanted to, you could grab some extra black paper and make a little stinger for him. But I think he just looks cute with a little rounded bum too. Kind of like a real bumblebee, right? Like you don't see their stingers unless you're really close. So, oh, sorry, I put that out of your screen. There you go. There is your fun, cute little bumblebee card that I hope gives you an idea of something else to do with this little duo. And of course, you can make ladybugs galore as well. These little wings you can stamp on, or you can cut them out and stamp dots on top, whatever you want. If you're joining me for Monthly Club, I'm going to show you 2 cards, one with a bumblebee, one with a ladybug, and you can see what you like better. You'll get one or the other, but you can always recreate the second one too. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed our project, and I hope you'll join me next week for another episode of Show Me How It's Done. Bye!